Brenner Mills, Minnesota Vikings. Just want to win one before I die.
Lane Cooner, the conductor of the Baker train.
Do you also have a wild card round hangover? Because I do.
I know you do. I was going to say the train has left the station and is no longer there.
Yeah.
It's gone for the season.
Yep, not coming back this year.
I took it on one last ride, unfortunately.
Yeah, same. As you saw during the intro, Spoon, huge Baker Mayfield fan. Me, Vikings fan. Both lost during the divisional round of the playoff or the wild card round of the playoffs.
Yep.
Both in rough ways, both in very different ways. Baker obviously on a last-second field goal. The Vikings just go out there and decide to forget how to block. Just let Sam Darnold just get absolutely trounced in a horrific fashion. But yeah, so that's what playoff football is, a bunch of unexpected stuff, and we are here to take you, the wild card losers, on a short little ride before we preview the divisional round on why you shouldn't get too down on your team. Okay? Everybody's got different reasons. Are you cool if we start with the Steelers? Is that good with you?
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I was going to just go in order of the games played. But if you want to start with the Steelers, that's fine.
I was going to go – my order I have here is Steelers, Chargers, Packers, Broncos, Bucks, Vikings. I was going to say Vikings for the end.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I'll just start off with my little token. Mike Tomlin is inevitable. Like, he's going to get you a winning record. He's going to get you a shot to get into the tournament. And while he hasn't won a Super Bowl in a while, any head coach that you can have for your team that's going to give you a shot to get into the tournament and make a run at the dance, I mean, that's never a bad thing. You can't be too upset with that. No, you aren't ecstatic that your team lost in the first round, and no, you don't look forward to that heartbreak. But the fact that you have the hope of getting in every year, that's something huge. That's something a lot of teams don't have. That's something almost no team has.
Jets fans would love a chance to have a playoff game. Are you kidding me? That's why I hate the Mike Tomlin slander that he's getting right now, because I even saw signs at the game where it was like, fire Mike Tomlin or get rid of Mike Tomlin. And I'm just like, dude, like, no.
Like, you're being spoiled. You're being spoiled now.
He's brought a Super Bowl to you guys. Yes, granted, it's been like, what, 15 years? Just
dude,
about?
If a dude ever delivered my team a Super Bowl, he could coach for 30 years without another one, and I wouldn't ask for him to be fired because we have none in 60-plus years.
Give me coaches the Cowboys have gone through just to try to win a Super Bowl or try to get to a NFC championship game. It's wild, and he's done that for you. He's even got you a ring. Let him stay there as long as he wants, because I promise you, you should not be upset about going against it. So when it comes to the Steelers, this was my mindset that I wanted to kind of talk about. Baltimore Ravens are a stacked team. They're totally freaking stacked. You came in there, you knew it was probably – I mean, honestly, the game was much closer than it really was. Like,
it's Lamar Jackson. Like, you got to understand, Lamar Jackson has either – there's only 1 year where he's been healthy where he didn't receive MVP votes, because he's going to at least receive votes, if not win the MVP this year. So 1 year – that he was fully healthy, that he did not receive MVP votes. Like, what are you going to do? Like, I'm sorry, it sucks. It's the same as the Vikings playing in the same division as Rodgers for years, Favre for years. Like, it sucks, but those guys are going to run the division because they're that good.
Yep. At least he has a team built. I'm talking about Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
At least he has a team built for you that he can compete. He beat the Ravens already once this year. That's huge.
Huge.
Massive.
You get to go to the playoffs. You get to have that hope. At least you have the hope. You think the Jags have that hope? No, they don't.
The Panthers, they don't got that hope.
No.
The Browns, shit. No,
not
at all.
Browns.
But
the Raiders?
My big takeaway, though, is that you're not going to win a game with 29 rushing yards.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
I agree.
Not going to happen. That was that was like the biggest differential whenever I looked at this game, because the Steelers had more passing yards than the Ravens did. The Ravens just ran the ball all night. That's all they did. Defense couldn't really stop it. Rookie tackle, I can't think of his name, shut down TJ Watt.
Yep.
So, I mean, you're not going to do much whenever you don't have the right personnel out there to.
Yeah. And I mean, Derrick Henry's a beast. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not going to sit here and give Derrick Henry slander, but Derrick Henry's averaging, I think he had 4.2, 4.4, 4.2, I think his last 3 years in Tennessee, and he's averaging almost 6 yards a carry this year. There's a reason for that. The Lamar Jackson effect of them both being in the backfield together frees up so much for Henry. It's really impossible for a defense to stop. So don't feel bad, Steelers
It
fans.
was already hard for them to stop Lamar the previous season.
Yeah,
Like
it was
now
hard
you
enough
have
to,
Lamar and Derrick Henry
yeah,
running. Like
even an older Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry's by no means in his prime anymore. This is not 2,000-yard Derrick Henry. And he's still being able to do this because Lamar is opening up so much. He's opening so much for Lamar. Like it's a perfect two-headed monster. Don't feel bad about losing to an absolute studly offense in Baltimore. And that defense is playing insane recently.
yep.
I think they're the second hottest defense right now in football. Maybe not best, but hottest. Speaking of really good defense, though, the Chargers. The Chargers, I mean, you had hope before the season that the season was going to turn out well with Jim Harbaugh coming in, but you didn't really know. You were in a very bad position. You didn't have, you get rid of your offensive weapons. You're kind of like, we're just going to run the ball all the time. Okay, like we're not going to use Herbert. Like, and then you make a playoff appearance. First season as with a new head coach, you make the playoffs. I don't think you can be upset about that. That's, this sets up a standard for the future. You're getting a good culture in the building of, hey, this is a playoff football team year in, year out. I don't care if it's our first year. I don't care if it's our seventh year. We are a playoff football team every year. So that's a great, great culture to have in the building. So if you're a Chargers fan, it hurts now. You got brighter pastures ahead.
See, my big takeaway from this game was once again. So I'm going to bring this up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because out of every single game, there's only 2 games, and I'll discuss those games later on, where the rushing yards differential between the winner and the loser wasn't so favorable towards the winner, which I'll bring up those 2 later on. But this is another one, just like the Ravens-Steelers game. I mean, Houston came in with the mindset that, hey, the Chargers' bread and butter is their run game. That's what Harbaugh likes to do. He likes to run the ball. We're going to shut that down, and we're going to make Justin Herbert and his receivers beat us. And obviously his receivers can't do that. They're not good enough. McConkey, yeah, he broke out for a few big plays, but it's like if you can just have him break out for a couple big plays a game, you're more than likely going to win.
Didn't he set the record for most receiving yards by a rookie in his playoff premiere or first playoff
game? He had
game?
197 yards, so I would assume that he did.
So great job by him. I know me and Spoon went back and forth on him. I know Spoon respects him. He doesn't disrespect him. He just thinks there's better players, but good on him. Chargers also have the 4th most cap room next year. So they got some money to spend. They got some money to spend on the, Khalil Mack may go. You got money to bring him back or bring in a replacement. You have some money to pay some receiving threats. Get a big body. I know how Harbaugh likes those big body receivers. Get a receiving threat in there. Maybe draft a tight end. They got some money to add some pieces to this team, and that can be really good. So if you're a Chargers fan, don't get too down. It'll be okay.
Defense is perfectly fine. Like I said, the
number one defense in the league.
The only thing I would do if I was a Chargers GM coach when it came to the draft, or just free agency, I'm looking for skill positions.
For sure.
Because we saw J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards already together in Baltimore.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Spoon.
What?
Could you imagine Ashton Jeanty in that offense?
It'd be pretty badass.
Oh my god!
It would definitely help y'all out quite a bit.
That just clicked into my head. Oh my!
But if you could do that, get a solid wide receiver 2, maybe from the free agency, y'all are right back here, and you have a chance to possibly compete against teams like the Texans and the Chiefs and whatnot.
And I definitely think that on a neutral site, the Chargers are a better team than the Texans. I think the Chargers could have beat the Texans. Now, obviously, they didn't, right? Like, I'm not saying, they should have won. I'm just saying it was a possibility they could win for sure. But going into a road playoff game is so much different than any other road game. I mean, one road team won this weekend?
Yeah, one road team.
Yeah, the Commanders, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So,
because, technically the Rams were home, but they didn't play home.
Yeah, they didn't play. But they did a lot of things. There were, Rams fans bought up, I think it was 60,000 season ticket holders bought tickets before Vikings fans even had access to tickets. So, I'm not saying it wasn't I'm not saying it was a full-fledged home game for them, but they definitely still had home crowd advantage. The Rams bust over several thousand people. Yeah, it was not a full-fledged home game by any means for the Rams, but they are a little sneak peek into the divisional round stuff. I think they are the hottest defense in football right now. We'll get into that a little later. But for right now, Green Bay. Green Bay.
Oh, we going
Man,
to Green Bay. Okay.
we're going to go Green Bay. Okay, I am not the guy that's going to sit here and toot Green Bay's horn for obvious reasons. Okay, I think that you
I mean, I
have.
will. Turnovers were the only reason y'all
I was
lost.
about to say.
That's it.
Say, if you could, but that's my bugaboo, right? My bugaboo is that I think this season has proved that they prematurely paid Jordan Love. Jordan Love did not have a top 5 quarterback season, and he is paid like a top 5 quarterback now. And I believe that it's kind of bitten them in the ass here of paying him that much money. Do I think Jordan Love is a bad quarterback? No. Do I believe he's a top 5 quarterback? No. I believe he's somewhere in the prime Kirk Cousins range, right? Like that 15 to 8 range. Like he could be a top 10 quarterback, but he can also be a top 15 quarterback depending on the week. And outside the Dallas playoff game, which they did, you know, throw down on Dallas, which that was an anomaly of sorts. Sorry, Spoon. I
It's all good.
apologize for bringing that up.
You weren't ready.
But as the Vikings weren't this weekend, I did Jordan Love as he didn't choke last year. He played okay last year in the playoffs, but this year he played really bad. 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions,
Yep.
less than 60% completion percentage, I believe. It was just a really bad game from him. And Philly's a phenomenal team, but they were in a lot of that game, and Jordan Love just could not get it going.
Yeah.
And there were some drops. I will give you that. It's not all Love, and Love does have that potential that we see every year in the later half of the season. Both years he started, of like he can catch fire, right? Like I describe him as a less likable Baker Mayfield. Not to say he's not likable overall, but I feel like they're the same tier level of quarterback, right? Like you have a guy that can take you to the playoffs every year, but you no longer have a guy who will, throw the team on his back, prime Aaron Rodgers style, and win you 2 or 3 playoff games every year. Like
Yeah,
you just don't have that anymore.
You got 2 quarterbacks that are in that like 6 to 12 range when it comes to like ranking how good they are.
For sure. Any
Austin-
given week they could go off for 4 touchdowns and a perfect passer rating. Any given week they could go off for 3 interceptions and a 56 passer rating.
Yep.
But
So these 2 teams are very, very similar. I'm thinking of the Packers and the Eagles. Very similar.
Yeah, very similar teams.
The only thing that separates, I think, the Eagles from the Packers is the receiving game.
Mhm.
I think that's the big one. You got 2 great running backs on both sides. You got Josh Jacobs, you got Saquon Barkley, you got 2 pretty good quarterbacks, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, 2 really good defenses. I mean, the Packers defense only gave up 22 points to this stud offense.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all. That's a game that you can definitely win. You just got to score. And the reason why the Packers did not score is because I think it's the receivers. The receivers are the big difference. That the Packers can go out there in the draft or even in free agency and try to land.
Green Bay never pays play. It's
don't.
weird. They never go out in free agency. They need to. I think they need to go get Jordan Love. I mean, it's a proven fact. You'll get a bona fide stud wide receiver 1. Quarterbacks improve their play overnight. It's a proven fact. We've proven it now. It's not a. I mean, look at Josh Allen, first year with Stephon Diggs. You get Patrick Mahomes had Tyreek Hill early in his career, right? Like
you get Sam Darnold with Justin Jefferson.
Right? Immediately overnight.
So Packers are here to stay.
Yeah, for sure. They're going to compete year in and year out. Their defense is young. They do have a few guys leaving, but they have plenty of guys staying. I think if they can get a legitimate receiving threat and maybe add, a compliment to Tucker Kraft in the tight end room, and I'm not saying like a new tight end 1, I'm saying like a blocking tight end. I think they have a legitimate chance to be a really good team in the future.
Yep.
With
they had more total yards that game than
for sure,
which is crazy.
Speaking of good teams in the future, a guy and a team we have both been very, opposite ends of the spectrum on, the Denver Broncos.
Yep.
I believe this defense is here to stay. They have the 13th most cap room in the league next year to add weapons to the offense. Um, Personally, I believe that I was. Now, hear me out when I say this. This is going to be very shocking when you hear this at first. I believe I was dead nuts about Bo Nix. Okay. And what I mean by that is I said that Bo Nix is not a sit in the pocket, deliver the football, go through his reads, just dotting up the field all game long, just sitting there dotting everybody up. Now, I said if Bo Nix were to ever succeed in the NFL, it would have to be heavily reliant upon screen game, quick passes, one read options, and hitting the occasional deep ball consistently. And while I still don't think he hits the occasional deep ball consistently, he does it consistently like once a game, right? Like at least once a game, he's getting a 40-yard pass in there.
Yeah, you
And
did it last game first.
yeah, first play. Yeah, no, I'm that's why I'm trying to give him as much as possible here. I still don't believe he's going to sit in the pocket Matt Stafford style and dot dudes up 25, 20, 30, 35 yards down the field every play like an elite quarterback can. But combined with this defense, and oh my God, this defense is nice. Combine that with a little bit of cap room, some potential new weapons, a good draft, and Sean Payton continuing to scheme up a offense that lets Bo Nix do what he does best the way he did this season. He let Bo Nix get the ball out of his hands quick. He didn't make Bo read the NFL defenses. He didn't make Bo, sit back in the pocket and go through progressions. It was a genius job by Sean Payton, and I hate the guy. Absolutely cannot stand him as a human being. He's a dirty, rotten cheater, but credit where credit's due. He did a fantastic job. And, Bo Nix, fantastic job doing what he was asked to do. What he was asked to do, he did to perfection. And he did it in the NFL. So that's the bottom line. He succeeded in the NFL. No matter how he did it. And I don't think you can be too down about that. The Broncos are supposed to win 4 games this season and they made a playoff appearance. Like, I know a couple Broncos fans, and that's all they've been saying is, listen, we were counted out from day one and now we're in the playoffs. Like, house money, baby. Like, it can't get any better than this. So
Yep.
I don't know if you have
true.
anything to add to that, but that's all I got on the Broncos.
No, yeah, that's true. The thing that killed them this game was time of possession. The Buffalo Bills almost are over more than
I think
double.
they had 30 minutes going into the third quarter or coming out of the third quarter.
The difference was the Bills controlled the ball almost 42 minutes of the game, while the Broncos had the other 18. Like, it was the time of possession is what killed that defense, and that's probably why they ended up giving up 31 points.
Yeah, they were tired.
My big takeaway, like I said, 4 for 4, the first 4 games that we just went over. It's running the ball. This is 4 games in a row where the team that could successfully run the ball were the ones that ended up winning the game. Your leading rusher on the Broncos was Bo Nix. This is another team that would be excellent if they were to get Ashton Genty somehow.
Yeah, seriously.
That would be perfect.
Oh my God, he would love that. He could just stay in Colorado.
Yep.
Oh my God, that'd be insane.
Well, yeah, he's in Idaho, but
sorry.
But he gets to stay on that.
Colorado. Stay in the mountains is what I meant by that.
He
Stay
gets
in
to
the
stay in the
Rocky
mountains.
area.
But that was my big takeaway from them. Obviously, great defense. They do have a receiver who's played much better than I thought he was going to play this year in Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
Maybe add a decent wide receiver too to pair up next to him, or actually a tight end. I think a tight end would
tight end would help a lot.
Especially with Bo Nix throwing
I was about to say, especially with his skill set, giving him a seam guy or a guy underneath that has a big body and a big catch radius, I think that would be beautiful for him.
all these. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say adding a really solid. I anticipate this offense to look more and more like the old Saints offenses that we knew by each year, and so adding a really high octane dual threat running back isn't, in my opinion, is probably the next step for this offense. And getting a guy that they can use as their Kamara, right, that can catch the ball out of the backfield, do all that kind of stuff that Sean
You already
Payton
like running
likes to
screenplays.
do.
Kamara
Yeah, exactly.
Sean Payton loved running screenplays for Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Using that part of the offense, I think, is the next step for them. But speaking of next steps, I think a team that is poised to take the next step next year is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've now made the playoffs in back-to-back years. I think next year is their, I think what you would consider their make a run year, their Super Bowl window opening, right? They come into next year. I don't think they have a ton of cap room here. Let me double check here. Where are they here? Yeah, they don't have a ton of cap room. They have about $20 million, but that defensive line is freaking good in Tampa Bay. They will win in the trenches. They got Chris Godwin coming back healthy, and he was a stud the first half of the season when he was healthy. They got Baker. They got their QB1 of the future locked up. I wouldn't be surprised if they extended him on like a 2-year extension this year. Just get out in front of it before you got to pay him $60-70 million. Now, they probably won't do that, but it wouldn't shock me if they did.
I think that'd be
Bucky,
perfect for him. I think
yeah,
they should
Bucky
do that.
Irving. I mean, bona fide running back one.
Yep.
You could add a compliment to him in the later half of the draft, just a guy to take some wear and tear off the body for later in the season. Add a legitimate, I know this is, we keep saying this, but add a legitimate tight end threat there, and I think you're looking real dangerous,
Yeah.
real dangerous. So, you got anything to add on the Bucks?
I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, I always have something to add.
That's I know.
So, unfortunately for the Buccaneers, this game came down to who had the ball last. Essentially, that is all it came down to. Because I was sitting there watching, I was like, man, if the Bucks could just get a stop and have the Commanders hurry up and kick a field goal, they'd have time to go down and kick another one as well. Because I believe they would have. So what really hurt them this year was obviously the wide receiver too, Chris Godwin, excellent player. Lost him early in the season. Mike Evans, they lost him for a little bit. Obviously, he's back, and I mean, he played excellent. Lots to look forward to. Baker Mayfield, top 3 in passing yards for the regular season. That's huge. Bucky Irving came out. He is, like you said, he has solidified that RB1.
Yeah,
and he's that's what he does. He's great at running the ball. Big thing that the Buccaneers need to kind of get better at is obviously their D line's great, but their secondary needs some help.
absolutely.
If they can just get a couple of guys, maybe a veteran or something back there from free agency, or maybe just draft a really good young corner to help them out. Because the pass game is really what slowed them down this year.
Antoine Winfield Jr. will come back. He's a stud safety. Like, that secondary will get shored up. They'll get that taken care of. That's probably their number one concern this offseason.
That would be my number one concern. And if they do that, Bucks fans, you have a lot to look forward to next season for sure.
Lot to look forward to.
Especially with Chris Godwin back. Oh, that offense is going to be so nice.
Yeah, we'll see if Mike Evans comes back. I'm curious to see if he makes it back for a 12th year. But
I mean, he hasn't looked like he's slowing down at all.
No. But you get into those 12th, 13th years, and you take that off season. You're like, man,
it was real nice.
It was real nice sitting on a beach in Cabo with my $50 million in the bank. I don't know if I want to go back to training camp.
He's 31. I see receivers last all the time.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying he will leave. I'm just saying good. All right.
Now for the big one for you.
All right.
Let's not take too long on it, though, okay?
No. I'm not going to take too long. I'm going to say what I got to say, and then I'm going to move on. I mean, Minnesota. This is a yearly occurrence for us. Heartbreak is no foreign mistress. We're in bed with her every year, okay? Here's what we got to look forward to. Make it quick, easy, simple. We are top 6 in cap space next year, over $70 million to spend. We have a top 2 wide receiver duo. We have a top 5 tight end. That defense was top 10 this year. And if Brian Flores stays, I think it'll continue to be top. I think it was even top 5 this year. I think it was 4th. So I think it'll continue to be that good. We have to get some cornerbacks in the building. We have to get some safeties in the building. We're going to lose Cam Bynum. We're going to lose Harrison Smith most likely. He's probably going to retire, which my all-time favorite player. Really sucks to see him go out in that game. And I feel like we take that $70 million we have to spend. You shore up the offensive line first and foremost. You don't let what just happened ever happen again. And then you add a stud pass rushing D tackle or a stud D tackle, whether that be through the draft, through free agency, whatever you got to do to get a stud D tackle in there, a true D tackle, you get him in the building. And then you spend the rest of that money shoring up the secondary. We have Blake Cashman. We have Ivan Pace. Linebackers are set. Edge rushers are set. This roster just won 14 games. and then the offensive line fell apart in back-to-back games to end the season for us. So get that offensive line taken care of, get the back end of that defense taken care of. JJ McCarthy season, baby. JJ McCarthy season. All right, Spoon.
Cool. Man, it was definitely a rough first quarter for you guys.
A terrible first quarter.
Yeah, defense definitely stepped up in the second half, but man, it's just turnovers. Just you have a quarterback who's never been here before. The bright lights probably got to him a little bit. He needed to get the ball out a lot quicker on a lot of those plays. He did.
I agree. I agree. He needed to, but the offense that was being called was down the field offense.
Yep.
Like I believe that's on coaching, right? Like
Right.
you got to start calling up like quick plays. You got to start calling up screens, slants, getting the ball out quick, up tempo, and they weren't doing that. They were trying to run their offense and win down the field. And I was
But yeah, a fumble recovery for a touchdown. I mean, you take that off the board, it's a 9-20 game, much closer. 11 points is much more doable.
I mean,
It's just.
Sorry, continue.
No, you're good.
I'll wait.
I was just saying, it's just unfortunate because like the scoreboard doesn't represent like the box score.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like
agree.
the yards were there. Like they both put up a lot of yards. This is one of those games as well that I was bringing up where the only two teams that beat the winning team in rushing, and that was the Vikings and the Bucks. Vikings won on the ground. They had the most rushing yards, or they had more rushing yards versus the Rams, and they couldn't get it done.
So what this game came down to, in my opinion, personal opinion, on the first drive of the game, there's a 4th and 1 in the first quarter. This game got off early for them. Puka Nacua goes in motion, gets set, false starts, and then our D tackle jumps across the line. They give it to them, first down, they get a touchdown there. So that touchdown never should have happened. Puka false started, so you take 7 off the board there, and then obviously, if we don't turn the ball over later in the game, take 7 points off the board there. The defense really should have held them to 13 points with the 4th down and then the fumble, right?
Right.
And,
if that's the case, the Vikings don't go for 2.
Yeah, Vikings don't go for 2.
They get the extra point, they get 10 points, and then you only need a field goal from one of those possessions where...
And I'm going to bring up the elephant in the room right now of that was not a fucking pass.
Okay.
Matt Stafford did not pass that ball. He dropped the ball out of his hand. It went forward, but he did not throw it. He just dropped it. And, I mean, I don't know if you were watching the Manning cast when that happened.
Did they say that he dropped it?
Both Eli and Peyton were like, you cannot call that a pass. There's no way you can call that a pass. And Bill Belichick was like, watch, they'll call it a pass because it's an offensive league. And they call it a pass, and Belichick goes, see? It's an offensive league. That wasn't a pass, but there you go. Like,
I mean, he's not wrong. It is, and that's probably why he got out so quick. Obviously, he jumped over to college where defense matters a lot more. You saw what the best defenses are the ones
we should move on. I could talk about this game all day. The last thing I'm going to say is
that's why he's moving to college, though.
The score is not representative. Basically, score is not the game. The game was a lot different than the score indicates, and it really sucks that that's the way the 14-win season had to end, is in a very terrible matchup in which Sam Darnold's going to get a lot of the blame, in which he shouldn't. The offensive line should. You go back and watch the Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes and the Bucks, and the Bucks got to him a bunch of times, right? All game they were pressuring him like crazy over and over and over and over and over again. And he couldn't score a touchdown like that. What in God's name makes you think Sam Darnold can score a touchdown like that? Yep. So that's what I'll leave it at. It's total bullshit.
I'm going to end all this on this, too.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about the Vikings.
You take it.
Vikings and Broncos. Y'all should both just be happy that you got a playoff game. At the end of the day. 14-3, 10-7, right? The Broncos went 10-7. Mm-hmm. Just be happy that y'all both had excellent seasons for what was supposed to happen. Y'all got to watch your team in the playoffs. Yep. Be happy. There's green light at the end of the tunnel. You see it, almost there. Just be patient.
You mind if I throw one more thing in there?
Sure.
Just one more. It'll take 30 seconds to do this, and I wasn't going to bring this up, but I kind of want to. So the Vikings overall over the past couple seasons have followed a trend that the Kansas City Chiefs implemented early in the Andy Reid era. Okay, so we're talking 14, 15, 16 Chiefs, right? It's looked very similar to their rebuild of getting the defense right, offensive play caller, get a good defense combined with a great offensive play caller. The offense will work out, the defense will work out, right? Like that kind of build. So obviously it didn't work for the Chiefs early on, right? They had Alex Smith, didn't work. And before the season started, I compared Sam Darnold to Alex Smith and was like, if Sam Darnold can, have a career resurgence on the level of Alex Smith, this is a playoff football team. And nobody believed it, and he did it, and whatever. But I want to bring up some similarities between this year's Vikings team and the last year Alex Smith was the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. Both drafted young quarterbacks with the number 10 overall that were very controversial. A lot of people didn't think Patrick Mahomes was going to turn out well. He was very rough, unproven guy, just a big arm like quarterback who could throw for a lot of passing yards but wasn't really an NFL quarterback. Both lost in the wild card round while being favored to a team with less wins. Both good defenses, great offensive play callers. Both averaged exactly 25 points per game. Both had great offensive skill weapons on the offense. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt at that time coming in. Now, obviously, Kareem Hunt had that situation happen, but both had good offensive supporting casts. And then both had two separate 4 or more game win streaks that season that they were quarterbacking. So just in the spirit of keeping hope alive, the Vikings fans, you're in a very similar position to the pre-Mahomes Chiefs teams. And if JJ McCarthy can be half of what Mahomes is, it'll turn out really well, I believe. So, but with that, let's talk some divisional playoff matchups. Sound good?
Sound good. Let's do it.
All right, let me bring up on screen here. I'm going to bring up the bracket so everybody can see the bracket here.
I'm glad they chose the best game for last, too.
Yes, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit more. Do you see that okay?
Oh,
that's too far. Too far. That's as close as I can get it.
Yeah,
as close as I can get it for everybody at home. All right, so first up, we're going to go boom, 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 boom. Okay, Chiefs-Texans. Chiefs minus 8.5 here. Spoon, I don't think this is going to be a 9-point game in favor of the Chiefs. I think this is a closer game than people are going to give it credit for.
If this Texans team shows up and plays the way they did last week,
yeah,
they might win by like 10 points.
I don't know about that. That would be crazy.
That's a hot take, I know, but even
that is a hot take.
It is a hot take, but I don't think the Texans are going to play as good as they did last week. I think they're going to come down to earth just a little bit.
Absolutely.
But even with them doing that, I still don't see this being a 9-point game.
Yeah, me either. I see this as a 7-point game max, 24-17 type game.
Yep.
I think Nico Collins is going to have a great game. I think that he's a big part of what they do. And I think he's going to have a really big game, probably have a touchdown. Joe Mixon probably have a touchdown. I really like Kansas City to win this game for obvious reasons. So with that, I'm going to take Kansas City to win, but I'm going to 3-star the Texans to cover that 8.5 spread.
Yeah, I like the 3-star. I was either going to 2 or 3-star it as well. I do think the Chiefs end up winning. They're probably going to win with like a late second field goal or more than likely something that, or a late second touchdown to put them ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like it. That's kind of where I'm at as well.
Cool. So Lions hosting the Commanders. Lions 1 seed. Lions are rolling. They've only really lost, they lost to the Bucs early. They lost to the Bills recently in a shootout. They dominated the Vikings. Opened the can of worms there with the O-line weakness that we have. I really think that the Lions are obviously going to win this game. I think the Commanders and Jaden Daniels are too talented of an offense for it to be a 52-14 game. I really do. I definitely could see a 30-20 game, which makes it a push at -10. But I don't think I lean more towards the Commanders in a 1-star than I do the Lions in a 1-star here.
So I lean more towards the Lions
Really?
covering the spread than the Commanders. So this Lions, I mean, you saw what the defense did against a division rival with the Minnesota Vikings. I think the
Yeah.
Commanders not at the same offensive caliber that the Vikings are. The Lions are home. I think that they're ready for this playoff. They had a week off. They're like I said, this fan base and this team is ready. They're ready to go, and I'm telling you, I think the Lions might win this game by 2 touchdowns.
Hey, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not saying it can't. I just lean slightly more towards Washington. It being a playoff game, if one team scores a lot, the other team generally scores a lot in playoff games. So it rarely ever is a blowout.
Yeah.
So I like the Commanders minus or plus 10. You like the Lions plus 10. I'm gonna give it a 1 star. What are you gonna give it?
I'm giving it a 2-star
2 star?
because
Okay, so you're slightly more
what
confident than I am.
what's the one thing that the Commanders, offense, defense, whatever, that they do terribly at, and that's stopping the run. They can't
Okay.
stop the run.
Yeah.
Obviously you saw it last week. Bucky Irvin ran all over them.
Yeah.
The Lions are a much better run team than the Bucks are. I see the Lions running all over this Commanders defense. Jameer
Yeah,
Gibbs is going to have a game.
I don't disagree with you. David Montgomery could be back too. That could be huge. I just
Ooh, is there reports that he could be back?
yeah, for sure. The Commanders' offense is just really good, and this Lions' offense looked great against Minnesota because they were throwing literal human beings at Sam Darnold. I don't think the Commanders are or the Lions are gonna be able to do that against the Commanders with a quarterback like Jaden Daniels. I think he'll be out of the pocket before they can even get to him, and he'll be 40 yards up the field by the time the blitz gets there. So I don't think they'll do that. I think they respect his ability to run too much, and I don't think the Lions have good enough coverage guys to last as long as they will need to.
So just before we move on, I just want to say that a report that was put out just a little over an hour ago said that David Montgomery was listed as a full participant on Lions practice report ahead of Division Round.
And that's Tuesday, January 14th. So that's on Tuesday. So good chance he plays.
Good chance he plays, which is even like
Huge.
if that's the case,
for Lions.
If that's the case, I'm taking Lions. I'm going to move it up to a 3-star if that's the case because
fair enough.
You got 2 really good running backs. Yeah, I don't.
Hey, fair enough. I'm not hating on it. So we got Eagles hosting the LA Rams. Unfortunately enough, the Rams beat the Vikings, and sometimes it sucks to be right because I said a few weeks ago that the loser of the Vikings-Lions game, Week 18, would be a one and done in the playoffs, and turns out I was right. Hate that for me. I was really hoping that was going to be the Lions that were the one and done, but either way, I said whichever team lost would be one and done, and as you can see, the Rams are facing the Eagles. I think that this Rams defense is the hottest defense in football. They gave up 40 points to the Bills 6 weeks ago. 6 legitimate weeks ago. They started all backups against the Seahawks, so that week doesn't count. In the 4 games they have played as starters, they have given up less than 40 total points since that Bills game. They got something figured out after that Bills game. This game is going to be won in the trenches. And I mean that as the Philadelphia defensive line being able to disrupt Stafford. So as a part of the research for the Vikings-Rams game, I looked into pressure and Stafford and how that affects him. If you blitz Matthew Stafford and don't get home, he completes a pass of 5 or more yards at almost a 90% clip. You're giving them a free 5 yards, essentially, if you don't get home with the blitz. And I don't mean get pressure, I mean get home. Hit Matt Stafford. So, and even really good teams only do that at 35%. So, you got to be careful. To beat this Rams team, you have to get home with 4, which I think the Eagles are capable of. But as that Rams defense has showed recently, the Eagles offense is not in for a cakewalk. Not in for a cakewalk at all. Do think they're susceptible to the run, but if they can get out to a lead and make this a game where Philly's got to score points, I think they win. I think they win outright if the Eagles get down at all, because they're just going to keep piling on yards. And I don't care what cornerbacks you have. You don't have cornerbacks that can just cover Puka and Cooper all game, one-on-one sticky coverage like you would need to in order to stop this offense completely. Obviously, they could hold them to enough points to score more than them, but you're not just going to shut down the Rams offense, right? You could hold them to 17 points, but you're not just going to hold them to 3. Philly -6.5. Ugh, I don't like either because it could be a touchdown either way. Where are you leaning with this? I'm really up in the air on this one.
I'll tell you, I'm leaning one way, and I'm going to 4-star it.
Hit me. I'm
All right. So I'm leaning towards the Eagles in a 4-star. And here's my reason why. Yes, the Rams are hot. But do they have the number 1 running back in the NFL? No. Well, could be arguably number 1. I can see the argument for Derrick Henry.
I see Saquon as the number 1 running back.
What is the you see Saquon? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
They got the number 1 running back, and what does the Rams defense not really do great at? Stop the run.
Did they not stop the run well?
They're not. They're not. They're in the back half of teams that, like, when it comes to rushing yards per game.
Yeah, so rushing yards.
They're like
22nd in total yards, 19th in attempts, 26th in yards per attempt. But I would like to see the stats post week 8 because before that they didn't have any starters.
Well, my thing with that too is Aaron Jones didn't do very well running the ball, averaged 3.7. But look at Cam Akers, what he was able to do.
Cam Akers came in and had a couple big explosive runs.
He ran 5 times, averaged 7.8 yards a carry. And Saquon is much better than either of those 2 running backs. I can tell you that right now. The other thing that really stands out is what do the Rams do very well? They don't run the ball. They run the ball okay. They pass the ball a lot. That's what they do the best. And
can I add something real quick?
Guess who has the number 1 passing defense when it comes to passing yards per game?
Who?
The Eagles.
Ooh.
So I'm going to tell you now, I think the Eagles defense is ready for this. They know that they're going to have to stop. They're going to stop the pass more than the run. So they're going to score a little bit maybe. They're going to move the ball a little bit, but this Eagles offense just has so many different weapons. They can run the ball, they can pass the ball. And yeah, I'm hitting the Eagles for a
Can I add something real quick?
Go ahead.
So just as, like I said, they've been really hot lately on the defense, right? They held the 49ers to 6 points, Jets to 9, Cardinals to 9, Vikings to 9. They haven't given up 10 points since they gave up 42 to Buffalo. The week before that, they'd held the Saints to 14 points. Now, they did give up 37 to Philly the last time they played them, right? So that's something to look out for. But rushing yard totals, they gave up 63 to San Francisco. They only gave up 75 total, so that's everybody, to the Jets. They gave up 113 to the Cardinals, who have James Conner and a mobile quarterback. And they gave up 106 to the Vikings, I would say 40% of which came on it, or 60% of which came on 2 runs from Cam Akers. So I think you're really selling this. Whereas like earlier in the season, right before they got healthy, 163 yards to the Lions, 231 yards to the Cardinals in the first game, 137, 131, 126, 122. Like they were getting gouged earlier in the season. And as of recent, they have not been getting gouged in the run game.
So my counter argument to that is that the Niners were on their 3rd string running back. Come on, dude.
Yeah, but they proved that no matter who was in there, they can run the ball.
The Jets have an awful offensive line.
That's fair.
Rodgers has been getting sacked all year. The offensive line is terrible. And then let's go ahead. We can jump to the Cardinals game. So the 3 most recent games where they all played, the Cardinals gave up 70 yards to Michael Carter. He averaged 5.4 yards on the ground. That's their 2nd string running back. That's not James Conner.
Yeah. Okay. I thought Connor played.
Yeah. So, like I said, their defense looks good when they're going against terrible O-lines.
That's fair.
That's
fair. Philly's got the best O-line. Philly's got the best O-line, in my opinion. So, I like I said, though, this game's going to be one in the trench. I think this is a trenches game. I think the under on this game should be smashed as long as it's above 42 because I can see this game being a 22-20 game all day. Right? Like, I don't believe this is going to be a 27-35 game again. I believe this is going to be a low scoring affair. Two really hot defenses, a really great run team, and a team that can move the ball all around and beat you in so many different ways. So yeah, I think this is going to be game of the week potentially. Uh, yeah, no,
Like I said, I'm sticking to it. I'm going
that's fair.
as a Cowboys fan. You know, I hate doing this
Yeah,
already.
that's fair. I know
But
you don't like it. I'm just
but yes, I'm taking the Eagles -6.5 in a 4-star. I'm that confident, and I think that they're going to at least win by a touchdown.
all right.
Maybe
I'm
by,
not confident at all on either side, but I'm going to take the Rams +6.5, just because they are so hot. All right, let's move on to game of the week.
no, this is
Like
definitely the game of the week.
pre on paper, this is game of the week. I think Eagles Rams will end up being game of the week, but Bills Ravens on paper, game of the week. I'm gonna take Baltimore in this game.
Yeah, I figured that. It's basically a pick 'em at this point.
Yeah, it is 100%. I think Baltimore's built to win anywhere. I believe the Bills have the more talented overall team, but I believe the Ravens are so top heavy that Buffalo's just not going to be able to stop it. Buffalo's proven they can get points put up on them left and right. Their defense isn't going to stop everybody. And this Ravens defense is another defense that is super hot right now. They have played really well lately, and I think that bodes really well in their favor. And on the opposite end of that, Buffalo, they got scored on a ton by the Lions, scored on a ton by the Rams. Whereas the Ravens defense, since their bye week, has given up 14, 17, 2, 10, and 14. 3 of those games were against playoff teams. So, not saying they're going to shut out the Bills by any means, but it is going to be a test for Buffalo's offense that people wouldn't have expected as much of earlier in the season with how bad their defense was playing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to lean towards Baltimore here as well. So my thing with Baltimore is that during the season we noticed it until we came to the last 4 weeks, probably the last month of the season. They would play really, really good. They came to play every time whenever they were playing a good team. When they were playing a bad team, they didn't really care that much. And that's what it seemed like. But now that the season, once it started coming to an end, you were like, oh, okay. The Ravens woke up. I know that people forget about it, maybe they don't. Baltimore went into Houston and beat them 31-2.
Yeah, 31-2 on a short week.
Yep, exactly. And this team is ready to go. They beat a division rival 35-10 the previous or the week before or 2 weeks ago.
Cleveland last week of the season.
Yep, and then they beat a very good Steelers team. I think that Steelers team is very good still. By 2 touchdowns, they controlled most of the game. Yeah, I think Buffalo also played kind of a weak, or their defense played a weak offense, in my opinion, compared to how good the Buffalo defense is.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to be able to stop what the Ravens have, though. It's going to be close.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be decided by a field goal or maybe a touchdown.
Yeah. But I think it's going to be whoever has the ball last.
It probably is going to be. And this game could definitely go over. What is the total right now?
I do not know. Maybe if I click on it, it'll give us a total.
Yeah. What are we looking at when it comes
we're looking at 51.5.
Yeah. I could definitely see this game going over to where both these offenses just keep on because they're going to keep scoring.
Yeah. And for that reason, I take the Ravens.
Yep.
I think the Ravens will be able to hold the ball, keep time of possession in their favor, and wear the Baltimore or the Bills defense out to where at the end of the game, you're now running, 8-minute drives against a worn out defense, chunking away on them, and then Josh Allen has to come in and put up, a touchdown with 2 minutes left, and then they get the ball back and it's tie game, and they throw a few quick hitters, win by field goal, something like that.
Yeah. So just to kind of end this off, since we both picked Baltimore, I want to ask you a question. Since this is the game of the week, this is obviously everybody's game of the week. This is what everyone's going to be tuning in Sunday night to watch.
Absolutely.
What does Buffalo need to do to win this game?
Buffalo needs to stop the run. First and foremost, they need to stop the run to win this game. That is the only way they will win this game. If they let the Baltimore Ravens go out there and let Derrick Henry run for 130 yards and Lamar run for 60, or vice versa even. Lamar goes off for 130 yards, Derrick Henry has 70 yards. If that happens, they're screwed. So they have to go out there and they have to shore up that run game, and they have to tell Lamar Jackson, you're going to beat us through the air. You're not going to beat us at all. Which, to be fair to Lamar, he can absolutely do. But it's the lesser of two evils here, right? Like, you can either take on Lamar and Zay Flowers with Mark Andrews, or you could take on Lamar and Derrick Henry. I'm taking Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews all day and making them beat me. I'm not letting Derrick Henry beat me. I'm putting 8 in the box all day. I'm running man all day. You're going to have to beat us. So you're going to have to just maul us and beat us. But that's what the Bills have to do. They have to step up. They have to stop the run and punch Baltimore in the mouth early. They got to get out early. They got to get up to a lead, and then they got to be able to continue to keep Baltimore's offense off the field.
No, I 100% agree.
Cool.
Back to what you were saying, the first time these teams met, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson combined for 253 yards on the ground. So, yes, 100% they're going to have to stop the run. The other thing, you mentioned Zay Flowers. We don't even know if he's 100% playing because he missed last.
He potentially might not even play.
And, yeah, like I said, if he's not playing, then, 100%. What Buffalo needs to be doing this week is trying to figure out, hey, what are we going to do to stop the run? Forget the pass. Who cares about the pass? They might not even have their number one receiver. And if we give up a play, let's say they give up a play to Mark Andrews or they give up a play to Isaiah Likely, which honestly is more likely that they'll probably give up Isaiah
sure.
Likely. But who cares? As long as you stop the run and give a couple big plays to the tight ends, you're fine. You're going to be in this game.
If I had to give 3 keys, okay, stop the run, time of possession, keep Mark Andrews out of the end zone. They do those 3 things, I think they win, no question.
I like it.
All right.
I really like it.
All right. I want to do one real quick thing with you. Out of these remaining 4 games, pick a Super Bowl.
Pick a Super Bowl?
2 teams you expect to make the Super Bowl.
So I'm stuck between Lions and Eagles on the NFC side.
Okay.
I'm probably going to go Eagles.
Okay. So Eagles versus...
You know what? I'm going the Ravens.
I'm stuck between Eagles or Rams. I think the Lions are going to come up short in the NFC Championship game against. I think the winner of this game makes the Super Bowl. Crazy, I know. I think the winner of that game wins or makes the Super Bowl, and I think the Ravens win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Ravens are my Super Bowl team. But make sure to tune into the Friday Film Room episode this week. We're doing Jaden Daniels again. After his playoff performance, we feel like we gotta give the rookie some love. Going out there and winning a playoff game on the road. So we're gonna give him a look. So make sure to tune into that. Otherwise, like, subscribe. We love you, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Yeah.